Some research which has been done in the UK from the University of Exeter in England, which has found that not only does sleep help consolidate new memories, it also helps to return to the front of our minds those we may have forgotten. Now, they're saying if you've forgotten where you left your car keys or you can't recall a name you know you should remember, sleep on it. Well, Dr. Mark Levi is from Dr. Levi's Sleep Clinic, and he's on the line. Dr. Levi, good morning.
Stuart, good morning to you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. You've had a look at this research done in England.
I've had a look.
What do you think of it?
Look, it's correct. I mean, if you don't get enough sleep, Stuart, you're going to mess with your concentration. Your memory's memory's going to be shot. But the other three top ones, which are really fun, is you're going to get fat, moody, and less libido.
Right.
And it's about sleep quality. I mean, how many listeners play with their iPad at 3 a.m?
Yes.
And so the question from that research is if people aren't getting enough quality sleep, which means also enough oxygen, then there's a lot of factors that kick into the body. And cognitive skills, that's memory, working, concentrating at work, driving the car. Some of those big car accidents, car accidents on the freeway, come from the sleeping issue.
Yes. I noticed that one of the researchers involved in this suggested that during sleep, the brain can effectively unzip some of the memories that have previously been stored. It replays them, which can result in important events, in some sense, being re-experienced. That would give rise to the feeling you'll sometimes have of a deja vu moment where you think you've experienced something before that you may have dreamt.
Very, very correct. Look, the brain's a really powerful machine, and its fuel is oxygen. So if you're giving it enough sleep and enough oxygen, which relates to some of the snorers that are listening,
right.
Because if someone's snoring, there's two questions. Question one is you're snoring with oxygen. Question two is you're snoring and you're not getting enough oxygen. So if that person's snoring and not getting enough oxygen, you're not getting oxygen to the brain, enough oxygen to the brain. You're going to have a brain that's running on unleaded on the wrong petrol or the wrong fuel.
Yes.
And that's definitely going to mess with memory and concentration. And if you want to remember stuff that's buried in your brain, well, yeah, have a good night's sleep, get some oxygen, don't play with your iPhone, and don't play with flashing lights. You know that blue light next to your bed.
Right.
Can really,
yes.
If you're studying for an exam, if the last thing you do is play with your blue iPad or next to your bed, that's not necessarily a good idea.
Right. It's in some respects almost counterintuitive because you'd think, right, I'm not going to sleep until I rack my mind, until this comes back to me. But in fact, what the research is saying is forget about all of that, go to sleep because the likelihood is you will remember in the morning anyway.
Very, 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 very correct. Very, very correct. Sleep hygiene, having quality sleep, and there's lots of, there's 10, 20 ways to get some quality sleep, has to improve your memory concentration. Do you know some of those big accidents, the Exocon and the big train accident in England?
Right.
Oh, the last time I was in a conference in America, they said that there were 4 of those big accidents around the world were caused by sleep issues.
Right.
Now, how's that?
Yes. Yeah, I think many of us can underestimate, not just the effects you're talking about there, but also things like brain sharpness, awareness, memory recall, all of those things.
I saw a patient last week. Now, this is a good, a story. It's a quick story. It's a good story. Corporate executive, very busy guy running a big office, 200 employees, was just hazy all the time. His memory was hazy.
Right.
He just wasn't sharp, okay? So we sorted him out and we got him onto a dental mouthpiece to get oxygen in his lungs so he slept better. So we're talking about sleeping better, okay? He said a week later, just with a couple of nights of good sleep and oxygen in his lungs, he was 60% sharper at the office, sharper with memory, executed his jobs in half the time. And just amazing case.
So it highlights what the importance of the sleep and some of the other things that can be occurring almost subliminally while we're asleep without us having any control over it at all.
Correct. No, very, 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 very correct.
Okay.
And you want a left field herring?
Yes.
You want a herring? So depression and sleep issues often have the same symptoms. So if you want a herring
Right.
to think about,
Yes.
if 100 people go to the doctor and say, I'm a bit depressed, the question you should be asking is, I wonder how many of them aren't getting the right sleep.
Right.
And how do you resolve that? Well, you get a sleep test. But it's just interesting that there's a lot of people going to the doctor going, I'm a bit flat today.
Yes.
And you think, I wonder if it's just oxygen and not sleep.
That's very interesting. And when you talk about a sleep test, how long will they normally take? What's involved with those?
Oh, you take a gizmo home and sleep with it, no big deal, or you go to the hospital and have one done. The GP, look, not a big deal, and more in America right now, they're also, careful what I say, but they're a bit more obese. Well, they're carrying a lot more weight in America.
Yes.
They're doing a lot more sleep tests. It's just a nighttime thing to say, hey, look, there's no problem, or hey, there is a problem. It's not a big deal. The hospital tests are a bit more scary. I've had lots of those. They're a bit more scary. But you just want to know how good your quality of sleep is so you're sharp as a tack. So that when you're doing your day-to-day, whatever you're doing, kids, work, corporate, radio, you want to be sharp.
Yeah.
Does that make some sense, Stuart?
It certainly does, that's right. I haven't forgotten where I've left the car keys, but I'll know next time I do, I'll sleep on it.
All right, Stuart.
Terrific,
nice
mate.
to talk to you.
You too. Lovely chatting. Thanks so much for your time. Thank you. Dr. Mark Levi from Dr. Levi's Sleep Clinic. He runs a Sydney sleep clinic and focuses on sleep disorder medicine. So there you are. If you sit up at night thinking, now, I can't drift off until I think of that, it may well be drift off and it'll be there with you in the morning. Subliminal.